Hello. Sub only chat. Nah. Nah. How's my audio? I haven't streamed in a while. Can you hear me? Alright. Just waiting for some more people to join. Nice joker. Let me just share it on my channel. I was hoping at least five people would watch. Everyone is just offline right now. Alright. Doesn't matter. Alright. Alright. What we build in? Why are you in three different colors? So we are gonna be working on this framework called Hyperactive. You can see it on GitHub. Hello. Yeah, should be back now. I don't know why that happens. It just happens sometimes. Yeah. So as I was saying, we're going to be working on Hyperactive. It's a project I've worked on and off for about 2 years. A little less than that, I guess. But we never really got that far because I needed to understand a lot more about what I was doing. But I am taking what I've learned from both from trying to build Hyperactive and from other tools and stuff that I've built over time. So for Mathril toolset, which I was using when I used to use Mathril, and yeah, I've also taken inspiration from existing frameworks like React and Svelte, among others, even Mathril. So the main concept is that React is not very reactive, right? So in React you have state and you have UI, and there's a mapping between state and UI. That's just what React is, right? But every time you change a state, React has to re-render that entire subtree to figure out what exactly has changed, which is not very efficient, but React manages it with a virtual DOM. It stores a virtual copy of all the nodes that it's about to render, and every time it re-renders, it creates a new virtual DOM and diffs it against the old virtual DOM. The finds out exactly what to render, right? And with Svelte, Rich Harris is really brilliant, right? So I recommend you guys watch Rich Harris's presentation. It's about Rich Harris rethinking reactivity. I recommend you guys watch this. I'll post the link in chat. You can watch this later. Yeah. So React is not fundamentally React is not reacting to state. It's just blindly rendering all the UI, and it's trying to figure out what's changed. But Svelte, Rich Harris is the author of Svelte. Svelte rethought this idea, and he said spreadsheets have figured out reactivity years ago, decades ago, right? Spreadsheets, you have an equation in a row, in a cell, and every time you change something, that cell updates dynamically, right? Spreadsheets don't re-render the entire spreadsheet every time. They are dynamic, and they know exactly which cell to update. So he takes this understanding and he says, if I write tooling to understand what state updates, what UI changes, then I can compile that into the I can compile that into the compiled bundle and say this state is going to, the change in this state is going to affect exactly this node. Zappy cheerleader support. Thank you, Zappy. Yeah. So Svelte is great. You can see. You can see some examples on Svelte. It's truly reactive, and that's not an understatement. There's no virtual DOM. This is so slow. We're up to 7 views now. That's cool. Could we just that page? Yeah. So you can see here, Svelte just has a script tag where you and the actual render stuff. When it compiles this, it figures out exactly what to do. If I change the name here, if I reassign to name here, it's going to update this DOM directly. It's not going to re-render the entire thing. It's not going to look at h1. It's just going to update name, right? You can see some of these examples, but Svelte is not standard JavaScript. There is some extension he's done, extension to the JavaScript language to there are some labels, I think. Yeah, so you need to labels are not commonly used in proper JavaScript, even though it's valid syntax. So he's reused the syntax to as a reactive declaration, right? So Svelte is not completely normal JavaScript, as you would say. You cannot you don't when you write React, you might be writing JSX, but you know that it's going to just compile to React.createElement, right? When you write div, it's going to compile to div null, I think null or empty array, one of those things. So you know that this is the transformation that's happening. That's why moving around. Yeah. And that is why we say React is just JavaScript, right? But Svelte is not just JavaScript. So that's been on my mind for a long time, and I thought, okay, could we not have true declarative, true reactive UI with just JavaScript? And this library I'm writing is an outcome of that, right? So I started it initially as a small template. What do you say? A templating library in just JavaScript, and the templating works great. I'll show you the test for that. So I can make a dynamic test. New test. Hopefully this is gonna blow your mind. This new test. Blow your mind. Okay. So mod.ts is the entry level for the library itself. So now I can do elements, and I'm just going to destructure all the elements I need. I'm going to need a div. I'll zoom in a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to need a div. I'm going to need a paragraph, and I'm going to want a span or whatever, right? And you can just see it's fully supported by TypeScript, right? But there is no actual. You can see this. I'm building this Deno first, but it doesn't matter. I can transpile this for Node. If I do Deno run new test, you can see that this is actually a function. Elements is actually a function. That's because these properties don't actually exist on elements. They are a proxy, right? You can also get the same elements by doing this. I'm going to do some different elements here. So I'm going to do h1, h2, and then you just destructure h1 and h2, right? So you can use both of these syntaxes. The advantage of the second syntax is that you can also get custom elements, right? The first one does not allow custom elements with TypeScript at least. And according to the specification, custom elements have to have a hyphen in them. So if you don't have one, TypeScript will complain. That's the beauty of template literals in TypeScript. So let's get into this, right? So I'm going to call render HTML, which will need one root node, and this root node is going to be I want a HTML head title, and I want body, right? Now I can just write HTML head title and body div so paragraph, right? So this is how you can already use this to render HTML from calling functions. So you don't, if you're using this to generate a website, for example, build a static website, or if you're using it as a render engine on top of something like Express, you wouldn't need to parse a string to build the AST, because calling this function is just going to give you the AST. It's going to return a node, right? So once you've I'll just show you that this works. If you log this dino run new test, you can see that this is the HTML that is equivalent to the node that we've constructed. You can also add properties to this if you want. Let's say div has style. I have not made properties available via TypeScript yet, so right now it's just whatever string you have here, and the value has to be a string, just like in HTML, but this will improve in the future, hopefully right now actually. So let's just give this a style of, let's say, with what can we have? Overflow hidden and height 100%, right? Now if I try to run this, it's going to render it into that, right? If you try to do that, this is perfectly fine in JavaScript, right? You can have opening angle brackets and closing angle brackets. It's perfectly fine in JavaScript, but it will be a problem in HTML if you just wanted to render this as is. So by default, it's always going to escape that. So you can see that it is HTML encoded for HTML, right? But say you really wanted this to be rendered as is, then you have the trust function, and now it's just going to trust you. This can be dangerous, right? You cannot just, if you have a value from user input, you should not be trusting that. But say you have constructed your own HTML, you can just drop that in, right? So this works already, and I'm already using this for a different project, which maybe I might be able to show you. Yeah, so I'm already using that in this project. This is the home page of a different this organization that we've started, which is called From Dino. We build tools to bridge the distance between Dino and Node. So we're working on that. I think it's just it's site. Yeah, it's src/build.ts. I think we won't allow write and allow read. Unstable. All right. That's all it took to run this, right? It's almost instant. See that it's not taking a lot of time. It's just taking. Hello. Necessity 420. Yeah. And if I serve, this is what I get. I haven't written a single line of HTML myself. All of this is generated. You can see that here. And you have components. Components are basically just functions that are you can compose whatever you want. So here a card is one of these. This is a card, right? So this is the card component, and if you go into card, you can see that this is the component. Hyperactive does not care about components. It's not special. Everything is first class. Everything is JavaScript. Everything is supported, right? So I'm going to move this away for now so that we can focus back on Hyperactive. So the server-side render that works fine already, but now we're working on client-side render. The initial build is already fine. Let me just going to bundle that, and I'm serving it. So this is the little demo that I made the other day. Some of you might already have seen this. Some of you might not have. So here I have a different function called render DOM. Earlier we used render HTML. Now we have render DOM. This is similar to React DOM.render, right? It takes a root element and it takes an element where to mount our app, and it takes the root node of our app, right? And this is the entire app. And because Hyperactive does not really care about how you structure your components, you can have your state outside here, you can have your state inside somewhere. That does not matter, right? So let's see. So we have a h3 which says enter a number. It should double below. That's what we see here. And there's an input element with a value of state.init, which is state.init is just whatever value you pass here, that becomes state.init. And then we have a paragraph where we want to render the value from the state, but before we render it, we want to modify it a little. So in React, that would be you would have something like that. And you would have state into, I want to parse this first. I would parse float into 2, right? You'd have this, but then you'd need to wrap this in a component. You need to. This might seem complex at first, but let me get rid of all this. The same thing here is parse float v into 2. We need to return a string because nodes only accept states that are strings. Right. So it's not too much to think about. We are mapping the state and returning a new state, right? And these nodes they accept they accept a let's see the type for this, right? So when you see this, let's see the constructor for node. Yeah. So this is the root of all of this, right? If you've heard of Hyperscript, you've seen this function before, but the implementation changes. Hyperscript is kind of the grandfather of all of this, right? So React, Vue, Mithril, all of this, Hyperscript is the grandfather of all of this. So Hyperactive is just one of those descendants. So this is our internal Hyperscript function, and you can see that it takes an element which is a name of the element. It can be div, p, span, whatever, and then it takes props, which can be here. These are the props, right? So the HTML props attributes, or it can skip the props entirely and just return nodes as its children. It can take any number of child nodes after that. Yeah. So this accepts a type called node-ish, which can be another node. A node can accept another node as its child. It can accept a text node as its child, or a HTML node. HTML node is basically what we return when we call trust, right? You can also return something falsy. That's very handy, because if you have something like active, and then if it's active, then render I'm active, right? Yeah. So if you have something like this, and active is false, then this whole thing becomes false, and Hyperactive just ignores that node entirely if it's a falsy value. If it's false, or if it's a empty string, if it's null or undefined, you return something like that, it just ignores it. So it's really convenient. So you can also return that, but you can also return a state. You can also return a state instance. So in case you didn't want to map the state, right? You just wanted to print whatever value was passed to the input. You just wanted to print that to the paragraph tag. Then you don't need to do anything. I'm going to refresh that. I need to build it. If you're just returning printing whatever state was written, you don't need to do anything. You can just pass the state instance that you've created directly to the paragraph tag, and it just works. But if you wanted to modify it before you render it, then you map it. I'm considering renaming this to transform. That might be simpler to understand, I suppose. Let's call it transform. Yeah. So state.transform, that might be simpler to understand, I think. So you take a state, transform it into a different state. And this is a function that's used for that. And now, if I build this, if I enter a valid number, it's going to multiply it by 2, and that's what it renders. So the beauty of this is that it does not re-render this entire tree. Just because the state is at this level, it does not re-render this entire tree. It only replaces the value in the paragraph. I should have shown you this earlier, but if you look at this, focus on this element, you can see that nothing else is re-rendering. It's just the text. It's just the text that's being updated. But there is a problem with this. This is a very this library is in a very early state, so there is a problem with this, which is if you have nested elements in here. If you have nested elements in here, we also support that you can transform a state and you can return an element instead of a value, and that's completely fine. But the problem with that is I need to build it. If you watch this, the entire span updates, the entire span node is getting removed and remounted every time, right? So this is something we need to deal in the future. So I think you've got an idea of where I'm going with this. If you have a deeper tree down this line, say you have 1 2 3 4 5, then you have span, you have something like that. Now if you see this, this entire tree is going to get unmounted whenever I update this, which is not very performant. So we need to fix that. But before that, I want to start supporting attributes. So before that, I want to start supporting autofilling of attributes. So let's get started with that. So the way we have these dynamically generated element names. So what we need is to only have the value replaced, even if the state returns. Yeah, exactly. Even if the state returns a nested tree, we want to only update this value. But we also want to do this without a virtual DOM like React does. What React would do in this position is that it would keep a copy of this entire virtual DOM that is being generated, and it will every time the state updates, it will compare that previous tree to the new tree, and it's going to find out exactly which to render on the real DOM. This comparison in memory is really fast, which is why React is very nice to use. But we can do better. So before that, yeah. So the way we get TypeScript for all these custom elements is with this file. Right. So this file has a list of all the elements that we that are supported in HTML, and that's how we get the support for dynamically generating elements dot this stuff, the dynamically generating element names. So first off, I want to start generating this from a script. This was originally generated from a script. I had it set up to parse MDN in a different project. Look at scripts, fetch MDN and generate types. Right now we want to do it without having to parse MDN. So generate elements.ts. We want to start by Yeah. So this is the request we can send to GitHub to get MDN content. Yeah. Files and US web where is it? Oh, it's under web HTML element, and then we have a list of all the possible elements. Right, so let's get started with that. We just need to send fetch let's start with that. So fetch MDN. We want to pass this new headers, accept JSON, right? And now let's see what the response to this is. Dino run scripts generate elements. This needs allow net. Ruby is an element, really? All right, so we have this. Let me just keep this as a reference. Script. We get name, path, URL, so we only really need name and path. So let me just, will that just work? That doesn't work. So rest.json. Can you not pass the type to that? Never mind. Needs to be promise of. All right. So now we have that. One thing we should be wary of is that this starts with files. Right. So let's keep that and call this root URL. Elements URL is root URL and this stuff. Now we have a list of elements. So we have elements, and there should be an array of map element, and for each element we want to do another fetch, this time root URL plus element dot path, which takes us all the way to the directory itself, but we want to go further than the directory. So inside the directory, let's take div as an example. Inside the directory we have index.html, and I think all the data we need is right here. So I'll do /index.html, then res.text, because this it's possibly going to be just HTML string, I think. So let's see what we get. Then console.log. Elements.map is not a function. Let's see again what not found. Something we messed something up here. Is that not the right URL? Oh, that does look like the right URL. Let's go back. This is the URL we are expecting, and we have content/contents here. False. Oh, somehow we changed the MDN to root URL. Yeah, that's the bug. So now it should be fine. Okay, so we don't get raw HTML. We still get JSON. So let's do JSON. Let's see. Change now. That's weird. Didn't it just work? we hit the rate limit. Already? Okay. I didn't want to run. I hope that the rate limit was high enough that let's see what the rate limit was for unauthenticated requests. I have no idea. Let me just grab a GitHub token. Give me just a second. We want this to access public repos. All right. Hello. So I've got my token here. I leaked it, didn't I? Well, I'll revoke it after the stream. Let's see now. Let's API overview. There's yep. Yeah, 0 IQ moments. And then explicitly calls it out. Okay, via OAuth and personal access tokens. Username : token. I'll just set a authorization token. we have config.api token. Let's copy that. I'm gonna copy all of that. Then we need to pass the ops to this. Hopefully now we're fine. What did I mess up? Got. Oh, it's in config. Never mind. So let's see if it works now. Okay. It does work, but it runs too fast for us to look at the output. So I'm going to do hold our test so we can look at it. We have name, path, file, content. So we only really want then file, content. Can I just close it here? Oh, that needs to be JSON. Right. Now we just have basis for encoded string. What do we do? We don't have buffer. Does test decoder work? That doesn't work. I have to look this up every time. Yeah, we just have B to A and A to B. But it did decode. Must have failed at a specific one, right? We want the error and we want to know which element failed. I see. I got it. So element list has an index.html. We want to ignore the index.html. That was the issue. What do we have in here? So we can elements dot filter a dot name. Yep. Did we just filter it out? Oh, we wanted to inverse the condition. Okay. Oh, we didn't return this. Should be fine now. Hold on for a second. I'm back. Where were we? Yeah. So that should work, but I want to limit it to a few files for now, and I less than or equal to 2. So we'll just limit it to 3 requests for now. We don't want to hit the rate limit again. Now for each of these templates, I want to parse out the front matter, because the front matter has all the details we need. We want title, and we want whether this element is deprecated. So I'm going to, once we have the response string, you can also do this here. Split on new lines, and we want to how do we go about this? First line is guaranteed to be a triple hyphen. We want to parse until the we want to skim until the second time it occurs. So we want to filter there needs to be some state. So let's do reduce not sure if we have accumulator and we have current, and we want to push to array. We want the index. If I is equal to 0 and current is equal to push current. It doesn't know what array that is, so let's return accumulator. And then we want to say current else if equals to array push and scene is true. We can refactor this to be simpler because we've repeated this 3 times. But for now, we split the HTML on new lines, and then we just skim until we see the front matter. So in this case, if it's not seen, we can always keep pushing unless I is not equal to 0 and current is, then we can set scene is true. Yeah, that's the simplified version of that. And once we're done with that, we just want array, and we want to slice it from 1 to -1. Let's see if that works. Yeah, we got the front matter in all 3 cases. Since we now have this, we need to further parse each line. So the first line is always going to be title. So can already put this in that, and then we say So we just want the text inside of this. I guess we can just do from this chart. I have no place to put my phone. Alright. So now we want to also replace will that work? I see. So there can be an explanation after the title. So wait a second. Are these just not consistent? What about acronym? Why? Sometimes there's a I see. If there's going to be an explanation after it, then there's a single quote. Okay. So we have an optional single quote. Has many things after. There we go. Now we want to find out if it's deprecated, for which we need to look at the tags and see if it has a tag of deprecated. The quick and easy way to do that would be just to look at find dot includes Yep. So acronym is deprecated, A and elements are not. That's just the syntax coloring that Dino was trying to do that gets written to file. You don't need to redirect anymore. Yeah, that looks good. So once this is done, promise.all, and then is this typed? Yep. Now we can construct our type elements.ts. We want to construct this file. So it's a elements.join. First we want active elements, and then we have deprecated elements. And then we have we'll just make a function for construct types. Elements is a string array. Name, let's just keep it that way. And we return elements.map. Let's just have it as a string array, because if anyway we are going to map it. Join so we want to join them by this. And there needs to be a leading one. Then we have that. So if we add base type plus that, we need to escape the that does not escape it. Just make that. That should be it. Let me go down here and we say active I don't want to duplicate the same thing again, so let's just do name and then map it here. Oh, it's called title. Now we want dino.write file sync. Sync is fine because this is going to be a short running script. Doesn't really need to be, but yeah. Or we could just use write text file sync, and then we don't need to use text encoder. Don't even need sync. Sync is fine. Keeps it simple. We need to allow right. I can check this out. Alright, we need to put them in quotes. Okay, looks good to me. Just add a trailing new line. Now we can remove the limitation on how many elements it's going to query. I showed it again. Here we go. Perfect. Now we just need to change the path to SOC. I don't need to run it again because we already know that it's working fine. Now I want to allow users to create deprecated elements if they want to. So let's see, how do I do this? We have this, we also have by just doing this, we already allow users to use deprecated elements. For example, if we go here and we try to get there are some problems here. Portal is now considered. H1 to H6 disappeared. Let's see what MDN says about this. RTC and RB should have been deprecated before, but they weren't, and now they are. RB and RTC, yeah. And shadow is nowhere here. We have no embed. We don't have that. Let's have a look at this. Portal is not deprecated, so it's perfectly fine. It was just a bug before that. It was not in the type. But missing heading tags is an issue. Let's see how it's stored here. It's just stored as heading elements, and it's just H1 to H6. I guess we could just manually add them in. If anyone knows a source where I could just get a list of all these elements without having to do this, let me know. And we want H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, map them. All right. Yeah. Yeah, we probably want to sort them before we write them. Otherwise, this is gonna happen. Let's just sort it here. The default sort is fine, I think. Or we have A, B, and we do A dot. Yeah, now H1 to H6 are in the right position. They moved down before. They don't do that anymore. menu. I see. So the previous script actually just parsed this sidebar. So the sidebar did not have elements like menu, portal. You have details. It had details. Summary. Yeah. Yeah. Everything else seems fine. Let's see if del. Okay. Math is missing, and that's because it's not here. I don't have SVG either. I suspect it's compressed into something else. Just like we had heading elements. Is shadow deprecated? Yeah, it's an obsolete part. Okay, those are just missing, but if it's just the two of them, we can manually add them in. We just wanted SVG and math. Wow. Okay. So SVG was never in the original script either. Alright. Let's add those in. And for now, I'm happy with that. So let's commit generate elements. Let's not commit config. I want to check if that works. We have SVG, but we're still not able to get deprecated elements. Why is that? Oh, didn't we change this? Ah, I see. Can't I do that? And now we just import these from that. And now we'll be able to bring an acronym or marquee. Can remove this. All right, so now we also want to fetch attributes. I feel like parsing the website would have been easier. We have global attributes, we have attributes. So all of this information is in the tags. How do I know which elements support these? Search for attribute list. Can't I search for Wow, they really just wrote it in the HTML. It's not in data, it's just in HTML. It would be easier to just parse this. I guess that's what we're doing today. I might just rewrite the other script as well if you're anyway going to start parsing. Let me see how I've done it here. So I've used JSDOM. Is it available for Dino? Okay. Just have Dino DOM. That. Let's see if we get generate attributes. Alright, we do get the HTML, so we can new DOM parser parse from string. Article, table, standard table, T-body. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, so that gives us this list of TRs. We need to get all of this. Do child nodes. Once we have the child nodes, we can map through them. For each TR, we want the child nodes of those TRs. In an array, so that we can map again, and we have these two TDs. So we have attribute name and so element. And I'll also do map, these are TDs. Dot, we want the text inner. What? How do I get the text? Oh, it's an array, right? Now we want from the TD we can get TD text content. Now if we look at that, oh, that is really weird. I see. There is a oh, there's only 3 of these. How is there an extra child node? That's not right. There's 7 of each, 7 child nodes. T body has TRs. Let's see now. These child nodes have to be TRs, right? So let's see what their node names are. There's a text node between each tr. That's weird. Now we want to find out what does child nodes, what does this contain? It's going to print a lot of crap. Let's get only the first few. I less than or equal to 2 and write this to out.h so we can read it easier. Can ignore parent elements for now. Let's just get the each.text content. Let's just get that. Shouldn't it print out less than or equal to 2 implies there are three elements that we've picked, so shouldn't it print out 3 different arrays, but we only got 1? There's only 1. Oh, there's no non-tr nodes here. So we want to do a second layer of filter. Now we get 3. So there is a text node in between each of those things, each of the ones that we want. So if we change this to map and return that, and then we map again, We don't want the first element, we want the second element, and we don't want the third element, we want the fourth element. And then we map them each dot text. We can just each dot text how are they already? Oh, we've already text content here, so we don't need that. Each is adset form input, adset gasset form, adset key, global attribute. So whichever one says global attribute, we can group them into global attributes. Just do that. Of course, there are some deprecated ones here. I can ignore that for now. For all the others, I guess we just remove the angle brackets and then split by comma. That's all we need. Hello, Techno's channel. Is he streaming? What did you want me to check? Doesn't look like he's streaming. Is it this? Minecraft Championship? It's in 2 hours. It's not in videos. It's in 2 hours. We have time. Just about to finish this off. Let's see, replace that. Then we have split. Right, let's check it out now. Oh, I thought G was implicit if you have replace all. Guess it's not. Well, so we have form. Let's try running it without piping it to output. Okay. looks good to me. Yeah, I heard that Techno is gonna be up with Wilbur this time. That's gonna be so much fun. And now we want to group this by element. Can come back to that later. I think we're done for now. We have a basic place from where to start. So we have, if you want to, I'm just gonna make a to-do here, group by element. Until then, we have each router, and then we join them with we want to put them in double quotes, and we join them with that. One leading type mattress equals deno.write text file sync, and then we want src slash let's run this. All right, just need to do that. Perfect. Now let's remove the limit. Aha, I need to trim it. There we go. And then we have type actors equals record string. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. We can split by elements later. For now, we can support all elements. I'll add an export there. Turns out parsing the DOM is a lot easier than using the GitHub API. Let's go to Node, and where do we have that? What's wrong? Is my keyboard not working? Okay, I think my keyboard is just messing with me. That's working, okay. Have that, and all right. So now that we've done that, if you go to test.ts, we have that, and our props becomes any. Because this is, it should be actives. Some errors here. That's why this was a problem. I'll just change the script a little bit. That'll just be called outro. And then we don't need this. Right, it needs to be let's just see that this works. It's not what we wanted. messed up somewhere. Have actors. Okay, this is fine. When we go here, import that. Okay. So far, so good. Okay, now it's working. Now it's working. That was the error. It doesn't make it a partial. We just do right now it's requiring all the properties, which is obviously too much to ask, so we'll just do partial, and then it should be that should also possibly fits. Oh, let's check this for now. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let me reload window and check if this is a TypeScript issue. Yeah, looks like it. Alright. Now we have all the we want to remove the data one. Some of these can have enums. We'll come back to that. Right, so data. If it's this, we want to replace it with string. So this should be we either do it there, or actually we might just do it here because it needs to be quoted differently. I think that works. Let's see. Right, maybe we just want to push it to the top or something. Yeah. that's the last thing I'm gonna do for today. A bit. We can continue later. Type. I'll add prelude to that and filter out each dot data. We don't want data star there because we just manually add it. Let's see now. Oh, I do this every time. Alright, that should be fine. Yep. Alright. Turned out to be just a type generation stream, code generation stream. Forgot to add a semicolon there. Is Dino front-end framework? No, but we can use Dino to build tools for the front-end, which is what I'm working on. Right. Dino is an alternative to Node. It's a runtime for JavaScript. Rather, it runs TypeScript directly. So that's what it is. Right. We have no longer type errors. We can test. Right. All of this is working. We can also have data hello. That's not working. Oh, that's because we did a partial. Okay, got it. We don't want to. We can just do data. Actually. And then we don't add data. Yeah. Show you what that looks like. Oh. No, I'm not using Vim extension. I'm just used to VS Code. Oh, I should have done it like that. Yeah. Yeah, that should work. Let's try reloading window to force TypeScript language service to restart. Okay, that's not working. What if we do that? It still doesn't work. Wait, we can just do record. We can just do that, I think. That's weird. Data hello does not exist in type. It's the same as what we have here. Maybe you can't use a template literal as a key. Can you do that? Yeah, I can see why that would fail. It's already a recommended search. That makes a lot of sense why that would fail. It will work from TypeScript 4.4. Perfect. Type string is not assignable to never. Okay. This might just work once TypeScript is updated. We want something like that. String or number. That's what he said. So we'll write it down like that, and we'll comment it out for now. All right. So data attributes are used for when you want to render HTML with custom attributes. You can't just you can put in whatever you want in attributes theoretically, but you don't want to because it doesn't, it's not standard, right? So the standard specifies that you have to prefix your custom attributes with data or something. So for now we won't support that, but once TypeScript updates and Deno updates, we'll have that. Until then, this is already pretty epic. We already have this. But you can see it's inferring it as string or undefined, even though it should infer it as string. And I know how to fix that. Basically, wherever we have at, we've already extended it. Maybe it's not extended in H element. Yeah, there we go. So if we just do just do that. And Yeah, I think that's. Can move this to the second parameter. And now, if we go back to test.ts, we'll see that that's still linked for incorrectly. It's fine, it's not the end of the world, really. Alright, I'll be right back. Phone was gonna die. It's running out of battery. Alright, I think we'll wrap it up there today. We got some nice feature additions to the library. I'm gonna commit it out, and if you want to check it out, you can always go to github/codefiddle/hyperactive. I'll drop the, if it's not already in the chat, I'll drop it in. Right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you again soon.